Hello! You might be wondering how to teach your deaf or hard of hearing child ASL and what strategies you should use to do so. You might also be learning ASL yourself. This video will highlight evidence-based strategies that will support your child's language acquisition during playtime and interaction with others. Research has shown that children who have early exposure to rich language, quality interaction, and opportunities to communicate with their family members and caregivers develop better language and cognitive skills. Many families are learning ASL along with their deaf child. Because of that, sometimes families feel like they're not the most proficient or skilled communicators when they use ASL. Despite these feelings, research shows it's important for families to sign consistently and to the best of their ability with their child. Early exposure to language is key for optimal outcomes. The purpose of this video is not to teach ASL vocabulary, but instead focuses on strategies for how you can communicate effectively with your deaf or hard of hearing child. I'll highlight 6 strategies that you can use with your child during playtime. First, I'll explain each strategy. Then I'll show you videos of actual parents implementing these strategies while interacting and communicating with their child. The 6 strategies that we'll discuss are joint attention, positioning, modeling, hand over hand, wait time, and bracketing. Joint attention is when a child and adult are looking at the same object at the same time. Deaf children rely on joint attention to learn about their environment and the world around them, and most importantly, to learn language. While a hearing child can look at an object and listen to their parents talk about it at the same time, a deaf child receives information visually. That means the parent would need to draw the child's attention to the object and then wait for the child to look back at them before labeling the object. Gallaudet University's Visual Language and Visual Learning Science Center has released research briefs on various topics. Their findings on joint attention include the fact that language input that occurs during joint attention is correlated to enhanced language and cognitive development. Positioning. How you position yourself in your child's visual field is important. If you position yourself so that you and the object are within the child's visual field, they won't have to shift their eye gaze too much or run the risk of missing information. You can either sit across from the child, kneel down at their eye level, or sit to the side or even behind the child while leaning your body around so they can see your hands and face effectively. A deaf child relies on their vision to acquire language, so optimal positioning is important. Modeling is a strategy where you are actually demonstrating the sign to the child and encouraging them to imitate the sign back to you. Hand over hand is a visual language strategy to teach a deaf child a sign. You physically take their hands and manipulate them to help the child produce the sign. It's a physical cue for them. Wait time is critical for a deaf child to acquire language. You, as a parent, can become more sensitive to the visual needs of your deaf child by giving them time to shift their attention between objects and people, and then when your child looks at you, provide them with relevant information. Give the child the time and opportunity to look at and explore items, such as a book, before gaining their attention by tapping the child or waving. When they do look at you, you can then sign to them. Bracketing is where you label an object and sign, point to the actual object, and then label it again. For example, if you were talking about a ball with your child, you'd sign ball, and then point to the ball, and then show them the sign for ball again. In this way, you're providing them with a visual prompt and the representation of the item. You're showing them that the sign has meaning and giving them a physical connection between the object and the sign. Now I'll show you examples of how these strategies were incorporated during free play at home between a parent and their deaf child. In this video, you'll see a mother and her 2-year-old son, Connor, and a father with his 9-month-old son, Aston. Now you've been able to see how parents interact and communicate with their deaf or hard of hearing child using those strategies that I outlined earlier in this video. The takeaway is that you are your child's language model. Family involvement is critical in your child's language acquisition. Research shows that early language acquisition, whether it's in spoken language or sign language, leads to optimal social, cognitive, and literacy skills. In order to be language models, it's important to follow the child's interests so that their participation is guaranteed. Label toys and objects in the environment as you play. You can combine labels with descriptive words such as big car. Be sure to move into your child's line of vision and establish eye contact before signing. Go ahead and give these strategies a try. The Clare Center at Gallaudet University has a wealth of resources on their website, including video modules on how to support your deaf or hard of hearing child's language development. Take a look at their website for more information.